Hello, everybody, and welcome to the New Flame Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, along with Kareem, and Dean is back this week. Along, we have a new guest this week. He will be on during the MLB portion of the show. But we've had some new developing NBA stories from last night in the past couple weeks that there hasn't been much. So I'm going to give it off to Kareem and Dean to talk about that and give their takes on it.
All right, so obviously, Rockets, after Mike D'Antoni stepping down from his job, have reportedly hired the veteran assistant coach Stephen Silas to take over in Houston. The Utah Jazz are selling the team after a 35-year-long ownership to a entrepreneur, Ryan Smith, Daryl Morey to the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Nuggets renaming their facility after Pepsi Center to the name of Ball Arena. So not much to talk about in the NBA, but definitely some big front office changes for multiple teams in the league. Stan Van Gundy recently going to the Pelicans to be the coach there. He's got Zion, he's got Lonzo, he's got Brandon Ingram if he signs back. Um, yeah, that's really all I gotta say. Still big players left on the board like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Fred Van Vliet, and many others. So it should be a fun free agency and off season until the start of the NBA season, which is anticipated to be around December 22nd.
What do you think of these moves? Do you think that they're good moves? Do you think that they're, like, they're just teams trying to get from this, like average, maybe slightly above average to this heavily playoff contender, and like this is just kind of like a bridge coach? Or do you think these are teams trying to make a push towards the playoffs this year that are just looking for the right coach to make it all click? I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I love the Stan Van Gundy decision by the Pelicans. I do also like the Steven Silas decisions by the Rockets. I think those two guys obviously have very much experience being coaches and in the front offices of many NBA teams. Stan Van Gundy, I'm most familiar with him because he was on ESPN during pretty much the whole season with Mark Jackson. But yeah, I love the Stan Van Gundy decision by the Pelicans. Once again, he's got a bunch of young talent on his team. As I said, Lonzo, Zion, Jackson Hayes, and Brandon Ingram if he resigns. So it should be fun to watch the Rockets and the Pelicans, two teams that are hoping to make a push for the playoffs this year.
So,
Can I speak on that?
Dean, you're finally back. I mean, what a week to be back. Some news in all the sports. What do you think about these moves?
I think they're great moves for the most part. I'm a little questionable on the LA Clippers letting Doc Rivers go to the 76ers. But also, the news is that the NBA draft is coming up in a couple of weeks. The top five draft picks will go. This is what CBS Sports has projected in their mock draft. They have Anthony Edwards going first in the first round. They have Obi Toppin going pick 2. They have LaMelo Ball going pick 3. They have Onyeka Okongwu going 4th, and they have Denny Avdija. And I think a lot of people are confused about the LaMelo Ball trade. Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, it's just saying that my mic is working. But anyway, LaMelo Ball, I think this is the one a lot of people are confused about because, he has two other brothers that are great at basketball with LaMelo and D'Angelo. But honestly, in my opinion, I think he's very overhyped. Just the way that he plays basketball. He's like I think he plays that he plays very selfishly. In my opinion, that's what I think. People can argue with assist stats, but I like the third pick of the draft because I do think Lamelo can be a great player, but I don't think he's a long term franchise solution for any team, in my opinion.
Like you said, the NBA draft is coming up. We will, after that is done, Cream and Dean will give their takes on, probably, first couple of picks, probably up to the top five. Um, and, but yeah, that was the NBA news. That was really it. There wasn't much. I did hear something last night when the Daryl Morey, to the 76ers thing was announced. It was like he's made the most trades in the NBA in the past 20 years or something. I mean, everyone's thinking, oh, Joel Embiid's going to get traded, Ben Simmons is going to get traded. Given his trade history and, just the amount of times that the 76ers trade as a team, do you think that they continue this, or do you think they try to scale it back a little bit? Maybe try to just roll with the guys that they have, or try to change something up, as it's clearly not working for them.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons just got insane athletic ability. Same with Joel Embiid. If he can get something really good for Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons, then he may want to actually seriously consider it. But I think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid they've played great together. They've always made the playoffs. But if he sees the opportunity, if it's someone really good, it can't be someone old, obviously, if you're trading Ben Simmons, who hasn't been in the league for too long and still has great talent. They can't trade for someone over 30, I think, just because the franchise talent Ben Simmons brings. I think that if they got someone older, it'd be wasting a lot of great time and great talent.
It's basically it's basically kind of like we're trying to win now, kind of like. I always relate things back to baseball because that's where my mind goes. It's kind of when the Cubs traded Gleyber Torres for an aging Aroldis Chapman to help them make that push to the World Series. But Kareem, continue.
It would be fun off season, especially with a GM like that who makes so many trades. I'm gonna be monitoring every single trade that happens, every notable trade. If it's something like garbage players for small picks, it's not too interesting. But if Ben Simmons gets traded, for example, or Joel Embiid gets traded, for example, we're gonna be grading that on just a A to F kind of score. So yeah, that should be fun to see. And yeah, we'll be excited to see what plans Daryl Morey has for the front office of the 76ers.
Full NBA offseason coverage. How exciting. Yeah, that's going to do it for the NBA. Now, into the week 7 of the NFL. What an exciting week. We had some blowouts. We had some really close games. We had some back and forth battles. We had, teams jumping out to early leads and then blowing it and then coming back just like the Trojans did. But,
listen, don't forget, the Falcons lost by scoring a touchdown.
Ooh. Exciting week in the NFL. I think one of the better weeks so far that we've had. So let's kick it off with some smaller notes. We have let's look at my notes. We have the 49ers and the Patriots. The Patriots looked like the 49ers against the Dolphins a few weeks back. They just could not get anything good. Nothing looked buoyant. Oh boy, did Cam Newton look bad. Ever since coming off the COVID list and having their bye week against Denver, he looked bad. The 49ers, he looked, really bad. 3 INTs, only 98 passing yards. Replaced for Jarrett Stidham in the fourth quarter. We all know how good Cam Newton can be, And, you just don't want to risk it when you're down 27 with 5 minutes left. So, made sense to do it. Just the Patriots defense just could not get anything going in the first quarter. It was back-and-back turnovers. Cam Newton threw an INT, then Jimmy Garoppolo threw an INT, then Newton threw another interception, then the 49ers finally capitalized with a field goal. But, nothing good came out of this game for the Patriots besides Cam Newton getting the only quarterback ever to get 30,000 passing yards and 5,000 rushing yards in a career. That is truly a spectacular achievement. Like I said, the only one ever to do that. And, he has now become the greatest dual-threat quarterback, stats-wise, statistical-wise quarterback in the NFL, in the league, in the history of the league. Mike Vick had all the talent in the world, but he threw it away, kind of. So anyway, 49ers just looked dominant. There wasn't really one player besides Jeff Wilson who got injured. That looked like you couldn't see what happened, but you could just tell something happened, and it looked brutal. That was a scary moment for them. The undrafted free agent JaMycal Hasty comes in, does solid, gets a total of 56 yards. He will be, is he out for the season, Jeff Wilson? I believe he is. He is going on IR. He's going on IR, that's all it says. He could be back before the season's end, maybe for the playoffs, but I don't know. They do get another running back off IR, which is Tevin Coleman, was brought over from Atlanta a few years ago, played second string behind Raheem Mostert last year, and then Matt Breida 2 years ago. So maybe this is finally his time to shine with San Francisco. He's probably going to be the lead back this year with Mostert and Jeff Wilson on IR. And what really surprised me was that Jerick McKinnon got no snaps last week against the Patriots until Jeff Wilson got injured. You go with the hot hand and something unfortunate happens to the hot hand, and then you got to go to someone else, and it was JaMycal Hasty and not Jerick McKinnon. Let down his fantasy owners like me. How unfortunate, but that's it for that game. Blowout win for the 49ers, 33-6 over the Patriots. And now we have Sunday Night Football, Cardinals and Seahawks. Cardinals taking it 37-34.
That great game.
That was a great game, back and forth battle. Like I said, DK Metcalf showed why he is a great cornerback in this league. He was it Budda Baker? I think it was Budda Baker. He got an easy interception off Russell Wilson at the goal line. Was running it back. DK Metcalf, I think, got up to 23 miles an hour or something like that, and tracked him down. Great play by him. It doesn't matter because they lost, but Zane Gonzalez, he had the chance to win it for the Cardinals in overtime. He missed. He gave the Seahawks a chance, and then Seahawks blew it. Russell Wilson had 3 INTs. I think, is that his first game this year with multiple INTs? I think it might be.
Yeah, that's gotta be.
Yeah, they let him cook, and it backfired, unfortunately. But Tyler Lockett had 200 of Russell Wilson's 388 passing yards. Insane night from him. 3 TDs. All 3 of Wilson's TDs came to Tyler Lockett, who has... I think Tyler Lockett is underrated. I think Tyler Lockett is one of the most underrated wide receivers in this league. But he's so talented. He showed it Sunday night against the Cardinals. But then Zane Gonzalez with 19 seconds left finally puts the game away on a field goal that was so close to missing, but it did not. Good thing for the Cardinals fans. Now, I wonder, had that field goal missed, they would have had the ball at their own 35-yard line, the Seahawks, and I wonder what could have happened. They had 2 timeouts, maybe one, with 15 seconds left. Maybe you throw one ball over the middle, call a timeout, throw one ball out of bounds, and kick the field goal. But so I mean, football is a game of what ifs, and this is one of the biggest what ifs so far this season. So, like I said, Cardinals take it 37-34, move into second place in the NFC West. Very talented division. And then we have the Lions and the Falcons. Like Kareem said, the Falcons lost it by scoring a touchdown. Todd Gurley was specifically instructed not to score a touchdown, as that would give the Lions time to score a touchdown and win the game, because they were down by 2 with 70 seconds left in the game, a minute 10, and Matt Ryan in the huddle was like, "We're giving this ball to you, Todd. Do not score, okay?" And Gurley was like, "All right, man, you got it, whatever." He gets the ball. He's basically untouched through the line of scrimmage. Then 2 Lions players come out of nowhere, try to push him forward. He resists, and then he slips at the 1-yard line and barely puts the ball over the goal line for the touchdown. They get to 20 points. They go for 2. They get it. It was then 22-16. Falcons on top. Lions drive down the field with 1 timeout. An amazing catch. Dropping down, falling down, Kenny Golladay catch. Then the game-winning touchdown from T.J. Hawkinson, who has proved himself to be a very good tight end for the Lions. And so Lions win it 23-22. That game had a crazy final minutes. I mean, Todd Gurley fantasy owners had to be happy. Probably won some matchups this week because of that touchdown. Maybe the only good that came out of it for Falcons. Kareem's in the background. He's like, "Yeah, that was me."
He's on my squad. He's on my team.
You love to see it. But so yeah, Lions win a close one. Now on to the Browns and Bengals game. Kareem and Dean, I am going to let this go to you guys, as I'm sure you guys were on the edge of your seats for that entire game.
Yep. Well, obviously, 37-34. Cleveland takes it in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, he had a great game, over 400 yards passing. He's had 5 straight games with over 300 yards. 4 touchdowns. I think the Browns, they're not making a big push for the playoffs, so they don't do something with this defense. Now the defensive line and Myles Garrett played outstanding this year. But, I'm talking safeties. That dude, Andrew Sendejo, he's got to go. He has got to go. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that was you were trying your best last week to get him out of here.
And he's missing tackles. It's not just him. There's guys like T. Higgins walked into the end zone because he wide open wraparound tackle, and he went in with his shoulder, and T. Higgins just spun straight. The end zone was literally north, right there, and he just literally walked in. Enough Joe Burrow and the Browns defense. Let's talk about the man of the hour, Baker Mayfield. About 296 yards, 5 touchdown passes, horrific start, and a historic ending for him.
Yeah. When Odell was in, 0 for 6 with an interception. After he left, 22
straight.
22 straight complete. He was 22 for 28 with 5 touchdowns.
22 for 28. And the only incompletion after the 22 straight was a spike. So, I think...
And are we really going to count a spike? That's kind of cheating the system there.
I mean, Baker plays well when he has a chip on his shoulder. He looks good when he's in the close games, even though a 5-2 Browns team should not be in a close game with a 1-6. The 4-2 Browns should not be in a close game with 4-1 Bengals, unless your quarterback was the first overall pick. But that's not an excuse for the Browns defense to play as bad as they did.
Yeah, I mean, with the trade deadline coming up in about a week and just under 2 weeks, they have to make some improvements. I mean, they passed. They let Joe Burrow throw for 400 yards, like we said. Giovanni Bernard, he got a lot of touches, but I mean, thanks to that defensive line, they shut it down. But it's
Myles Garrett with 4 forced fumbles.
That's a lot.
And 9 sacks. He is on pace for an NFL historic record. 9 sacks in 7 weeks. Take that in.
Some guys are lucky to get 9 sacks in a season.
Yeah, 9 sacks is really good for a season. I mean, this guy, he is doing insane right now. I mean, it's not just. I mean,
Dallas always finds a way to lose to the bad teams and then beat the really good teams.
Doesn't Dallas always seem like they have everybody thinking they're gonna do so well, and they keep doing worse, but everybody keeps
every year, exactly.
So well?
Like after they lost to the Packers in the divisional round in Dax and Zeke's rookie year, everyone was like, "Oh, it's only gonna go up from here." They have a worse record or maybe the same record. And then the following year, in 2018, they barely make the playoffs. 2019, they missed the playoffs. And everyone's like, all right, they're going to rebound this year. I mean, granted, no one saw Dak Prescott getting injured like he did, but...
McCarthy, it's all going to be good.
I mean, Ben DiNucci is now the starting quarterback this week, so...
I mean, people were, going after his players apparently were going after... Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys coaching staff about how they don't know how to coach. I don't really know too much about it, so I'm not going to take sides here. But all I can say is, Cowboys fans, it's time to panic. That's all I'm going to say.
Dean, do you want to add anything to the Browns' victory over the Bengals? Anything about a certain catch by a certain player with a great name?
Certain Peoples-Jones. Donovan Peoples-Jones with the game-winning touchdown with 16 seconds left in the game. Really closing out the game. At the end of the game, they almost did score a touchdown with it back down, but Ronnie Harrison was able to get that bobble down. And let me just tell you something about the Browns defense. They're the 30th worst defense in the league. One of the best run defenses.
So they have the best run defense, but then they have the worst pass defense. It's so bad that they drag the best rush defense to 30th worst.
This is how bad Sendejo is.
Or I guess 30th best, I guess.
80% of the passes thrown his way that he needs to defend are caught. 80 out of Think about this. Every 100 passes thrown his way, 80 of them are caught.
That is unfortunate.
That is embarrassing.
That is.
Let's also talk about Terrence Mitchell, who dropped 3 wide-open interceptions. He had one where Joe Burrow threw to no one and him. He really didn't even have to jump for it. He just dropped it. He has to go. And this might wouldn't be a stretch, but Odell needs to get out immediately.
I mean, now that he's on IR, he can't.
A season without an injury. Yeah, numbers don't lie,
Yeah, Baker, rookie season without Odell, ties the NFL rookie record with 27 touchdowns. Next year, brings in Odell, plays below average, very below average. This year, with Odell, playing average quarterback. And then you take him out of the lineup, 22 for 22, or 22 for 23 with the spike or whatever, 296 yards, no interceptions, 5 touchdowns.
Get him out of there. He's not a good locker room guy.
No, he's not.
Just get him out of there. And because we're just talking about Baker Mayfield, let's talk about how he was playing like a bad Marv Sanchez. and then goes to start playing like an MVP. And he was bad with Odell. That's when he was bad. And once he got out, he started playing amazing. So Kareem wants to say something. So I'm gonna go give it over to him really quick, and then I gotta say a couple more things. I mean, I've got 2 words for you, Rashard Higgins. I mean, this is the guy that Baker was throwing the ball to the whole time when he tied the touchdown record. And then Freddie Kitchens. I remember I was told Freddie Kitchens got the job. I really wanted Greg Williams to get it. I was told Freddie got it, and I was like, the coaching staff did really well how it was. Why didn't you just try to keep it that way? But you get Freddie Kitchens. Rashard Higgins barely plays any snaps. And when he was on there, he was catching touchdowns. But I don't know if it was something with his locker room presence, but I mean, Baker is so accurate to this guy.
No, actually, we still have to talk about the Steelers and Titans game.
That was close too.
Yeah,
That was a good game.
alright, the Titans played, like, just horrible in the first half. 27-3 or 27-7. It doesn't really matter.
Marcus Mariota days.
Oh yeah, back to the Marcus Mariota days. And Tannehill wasn't looking good. Henry was getting stuffed in the run game, and just nothing was working. Come out in the second half, 73-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown. And, after that really lighted the spark for the Titans. I watched the entire game. It was a really good game. I wanted the Titans to win just because, it's my guy, Ryan Tannehill. I love Derrick Henry. I love A.J. Brown. And then it got to 27-24. Steelers could ice this game with a touchdown. And, Ben throws it. He forced a pass to Juju Smith-Schuster, and into triple coverage, and it was intercepted in the back of the end zone. Titans moving, got it down for Stephen Gostkowski, who has been automatic from 50-plus yards. Get it to a 49. Titans, if only you had taken, like, a knee, that intentional grounding, maybe that helped, maybe... Because I think if there was no that intentional grounding, I think it would have been good. But there was, backed it up 15 yards from a 34 to a 49-yard field goal. And Stephen Gostkowski missed it wide right. He has been shaky, to say the best, for the Titans this year. Last year, their kicking game was, he made the field goals he should have made, and he missed, some that most kickers make. But they bring in Gostkowski, you think, oh, all right, we're not going to miss any field goals this year. This is automatic. And then he was horrible in the Week 1 win against the Broncos until, like, the final field goal or whatever. And then he was shaky, and then he missed the game-tying field goal that would have sent it to overtime this week. And so, next year you have to get a new solution at kicker. So, it's disheartening. Steelers are now the only undefeated team, with the Seahawks losing on Sunday night. But they're coming for the 72 Dolphins. I don't think they can do it. I don't believe the Steelers can make can go 19-0 this year.
Yeah, they've got Baltimore. They've still got 2 games against Baltimore. They've got one this coming week. That's gonna be a great game. I'd love to see that one. It's gonna be a real battle between 2 great teams with 2 far great quarterbacks, except for the fact that Lamar Jackson in the past couple of weeks has played very
Yeah, and this brings us to this game's preview. Lamar Jackson needs to get back to 2019 Lamar Jackson. We said this last week. He has been extremely average for the past few weeks. And when you have a guy that won MVP the last year, I think this is one of the biggest MVP drop-offs maybe from Sean Alexander. But I think this has been one of the biggest MVP drop-offs from a quarterback we've probably maybe ever seen. Like, he went from playing, on pace to, just being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time if he could keep it up to, playing slightly above average at best. They need to get, is it Jim or John Harbaugh? I always forget. One of their
I know one of them. I think it's John Harbaugh.
Yeah, it's John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh needs to get back to the way he was calling plays in 2019. Running the read option. Running. Just design quarterback runs to Lamar Jackson. That they're just not doing it this year. Maybe people have adapted. Maybe my dad was right. He was always saying people are gonna figure him out, and maybe they have. Certainly as a Ravens fan, you are now worried. You're still a good team. You still have one of the best defenses in the league. Just got Yannick Ngakoue last week, but you have one of the best defenses in the league. You have the potential to be one of the best offenses in the league. You have the potential to be one of the best teams in the NFL, but it's kind of just wasted if you can't get creative again. Because with Joe Flacco is just drop back and pass the 5-yard check down or run the ball. But with Lamar Jackson, you have all these different things that you can do, and they're just not doing it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna speak on Lamar Jackson too. I think that just like you said, the Ravens are using him in all the wrong ways. He plays better. He runs better than most running backs in this league, and they're using him like Tom Brady, just throwing checkdowns, throwing deep. They're not giving him design runs anymore like they did last year, which worked perfectly. I'm just going to go back to, I think it was 2019. I was saying that Lamar Jackson is looking like one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. And now that I'm looking at him now, he's not playing well. He's playing well, but not good, exceptionally good, if I may say that.
Yeah, he's doing enough to win the games, but they're close. They're not playing like they should.
Like with Philly.
Yeah, like with Philly. Philly. Miles Sanders left in the third quarter. Zach Ertz missed almost an entire quarter. How do you not blow that team out? Their defense is in shambles. Their offense can't stay healthy. Their wide receivers, Travis Fulgham, he has been good this year, but Travis Fulgham, he hasn't been good since this year, and the only reason he's getting this chance is because so many people are injured. And the fact that it's only an 8-point win, that's the same amount of points that the Seahawks beat the Dolphins by, just saying.
I'm pretty sure it was a 2-point game. It was 30-28.
Oh, right, because they scored the last second touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Ravens versus Eagles.
May I please say something?
Yeah, it was 30-28. It was a 2-point game.
I've said this for so long, ever since Lamar first debuted his young NFL career, and I saw him running. I said, man, this guy's not going to be around for. He does not seem like the long-term solution. I think it's just too many chances for him to. Now, I'm not saying this is because he's a bad player, but there's a lot of chances because the NFL right now, guys clock people hard, and with the less padding quarterbacks have, Lamar.
He's just almost asking to get injured.
Lamar seems like he's the type of guy that could get clocked in the head, be out for the season, and then some guy comes in that can pass really well. It was just like what happened to Joe Flacco.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, he needs to get back. John Harbaugh needs to get creative again. And, that's going to do it for the Week 8 we have some more NFL notes. We have Tua Tagovailoa's first start coming this Sunday, which we talked about last week, but I want to get more in depth with it. I want to see a solid mix of, all three types of plays. I want to see him throw the ball. I want to see him hand the ball off. I want to see how he does running the ball coming off the hip injury. All these questions that you want to ask you, that you want to figure out this first week, especially against Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and, that really solid Rams defense. You want to see, can he fit it in these tight windows? He's going to have to prove himself, or else they're just going to go right back to Fitzpatrick if he doesn't get traded, which I don't think they should, just in case something happens. But, I want to see him do all these things, and I mean, obviously, it's gonna take a couple of weeks, really get into the swing of things with Tua. But I mean, it's like we said last week. It's confusing, the timing that they went to him. But I mean, what's really funny is, if this ends up working out, everyone's gonna be like, Brian Flores is a genius. But if it doesn't, people are gonna be like, oh, Brian Flores is one of the worst coaches of all time. But yeah. Um, Browns, we talked about that. We have some trades. Carlos Dunlap going to the Seahawks. This makes total sense. Seahawks need a pass rush. They have been the second worst pass rush this entire season, trailing only the Jags. It has not been good. I don't know why Damon Harrison is still on the practice squad. Like get this man on the NFL roster. But I mean, they bring in Carlos Dunlap, Cincinnati's all-time sack leader. Makes a lot of sense. Traded nothing for him. A backup offensive lineman and a 7th-round pick. I mean, with what you can get out of Carlos Dunlap, I think this makes total sense. And it was the right move because he was really the only pass rusher, on the trade block. I mean, Everson Griffin was also traded to the Lions from the Cowboys, but they saw the price was right for Carlos Dunlap, and they pulled the trigger to get him. I think this is a good move. And the other trade that I mentioned, Everson Griffin to the Lions from the Cowboys, this also makes total sense. Cowboys looking to just dump salary. They are in full tank mode now. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Gallup gets traded. I'm calling it now. Michael Gallup is getting traded at the trade deadline. He is one of those guys who we've all seen, like Rashard Higgins that we mentioned earlier. He has the talent to be Pro Bowl level talent. He showed that against the Giants with 2 amazing catches, and but I mean, I think he gets traded. I think there could be other guys, maybe Leighton Vander Esch, but probably not. But Cowboys full tank mode. Hate to say it. But going into the season, they had high hopes, but they have been, for all intensive purposes, eliminated from the playoffs. I mean, Andy Dalton has not looked good. He did get injured. Ben DiNucci is their starting quarterback for this week. It's tough. But, anyway, that's it for the NFL. On to the MLB. Alright, and now onto the MLB with the World Series ending the other night. The Dodgers taken in 6. And Kareem, can you back me up on this? I said Dodgers in 6, did I not?
Yeah, I mean, you did.
I called it, man. So, yeah, Dodgers win it in 6. This was a dominant performance by the Dodgers besides their 2 wins, which, one was from that little, suspect walk-off by Brett Phillips, and then the other was just a, not very great performance. But, I mean, in their 4 wins, they were dominant. Clayton Kershaw has finally won a championship. Must feel so good for him to say that. As you all know, he is famously choked in the playoffs several times. But, and for the first time, I have my good friend Pete here. Pete, why don't you introduce yourself, introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I play on Andrew's baseball team, and and that was a crazy game for World Series. That was just insane. Brett Phillips, if they didn't bobble that ball, they would have got that guy out at home. But the problem is that the catcher didn't, if Kenley Jansen was backing up, they would still have a chance to get the guy out.
Yeah, if Kenley Jansen was backing up like he should been, there's a chance that, Rosarena comes home and then Jansen flips it to Will Smith and they get him out and it goes to extras. But, but starting back with Game 1, we have the Dodgers taking it 8-3. Now with the World Series over, this is going to be kind of like an in-depth, analysis of the World Series. We have the Dodgers taking Game 1, 8-3. who pitched for the Dodgers? It was Clayton Kershaw. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. He played great. Like we said, he finally got a championship. He easily could have been World Series MVP, but that went to Corey Seager.
But the thing was that Tyler Glasnow, he blew so many games in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, that clutch factor just is not there for Tyler Glasnow. He went 4 1/3, 3. He walks a lot of guys. That's what it was. It wasn't his problem. You look at it, 3 hits isn't bad, but in the walk column he had 6. Just Tyler Glasnow just could not find it in Game 1. Dodgers take an easy victory, 8-3, like we said. Betts with an RBI, Muncy with 2, Bellinger with 2, Taylor with 1. Dominant performance by the Dodgers to take Game 1. And then on to Game 2, we have the Rays taking it 6-4. For the Rays, we had Blake Snell pitch. Kevin Cash, we'll get into his decision to take him out in Game 6 later. But Snell went 4 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts. He was dealing. If the Rays won this series, bar any crazy game-winning hit in Game 7, I think Blake Snell would have won World Series MVP had the Rays won it. He was on point all series in his 2 performances. But all these games were high scoring except for Game 6, which were final of 3-1. But Nick Anderson with the win. Gonsolin, who did not pitch well in the World Series, he kind of fell apart for the Dodgers.
Yeah, just did the best.
What?
But Nick Anderson,
Nick Anderson fell apart in the postseason as well. Nick Anderson. We'll get into this later, but the decision to take out Blake Snell in Game 6 was stupid. I'm sorry.
Stupid. But Nick Anderson somehow got the win because they took the lead. Well, they didn't take the lead.
Yeah, let's see. Gonsolin gave up 2 home runs in how many innings pitched? 2 home runs in 3 innings pitched. That is really bad. Tony Gonsolin he was dominant in the regular season with a 2.31 ERA, 46 strikeouts, .84 WHIP. But even in the postseason, he was 0-2 the record, 8.68 ERA, 9.1 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts, and a 1.93 WHIP. That 1.93 WHIP is horrible. You see guys, with maybe a high, maybe 0.9, is average, maybe 1 is average. But a 1.93, that is 2 base runners an inning. That is not great at all. Obviously.
He only pitched 1.1, so he pitched 1 the first inning, and then he only got 1 out, and then he got taken out. So,
no, because he came into relief. Now, I don't know what really happened in Game 2. I think by the time the Tampa Bay Rays were up 5-1 heading into when he came in to pitch, I think he was just gonna be an innings eater, which he did not do. Game 2, and then the Rays tie the series at 1-1. That was a good win for the Rays. You can say you weren't swept in the World Series, which is every team's goal besides win the World Series. And then Game 3, we had a really
Dodgers won 6-2.
Yeah, Dodgers won 6-2. Strong, dominant start by Walker Buehler. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts. He was untouchable. I was watching that. I watched almost all the games live besides the last 2 innings of almost every game. I was really upset I didn't see the Brett Phillips walk-off live. But I watched as much as I can, and Walker Buehler was painting the corners. He was locating his fastball, he was locating his curveball, he was locating every pitch that in his arsenal that he can throw, and the Rays just couldn't touch him.
And the Dodgers did help Walker Buehler come out with the start because he did have they did score 5 runs.
Yeah, Dodgers came out to an early start, 5 runs in the first 4 innings. I mean, that's really helpful as a starting pitcher. But, I mean, it doesn't help that Charlie Morton went 4 1/3, 7 hits, 5 earned runs, only 6 strikeouts. I mean, then after that, John Curtis came in, one of their not-so-great relievers. Thompson, Sheriff, and McClanahan. This was just you know what? We'll eat the loss here for Kevin Cash, and I think after they scored 5 runs in the first 4 innings, that was a definite. You know what? We'll just see if these guys have the clutch factor in them a little bit.
Yeah.
I think after the 5th inning, this was a lost cause for the Rays. In Game 3.
The Dodgers, their first 4 hitters were all batting over 300. They were all hot.
Yeah,
They were
Betts,
doing so good.
Betts, Turner.
And the rest were all batting under 200.
Yeah,
200 besides Chris Taylor.
Yeah, and Chris Taylor didn't even play that great in the World Series. I mean, Cody Bellinger, he's had some clutch hits, especially in NLCS Game 7.
True. It was funny because he hurt himself.
Yeah, and then he dislocated his shoulder, yeah. But then, on to Game 4, crazy final play from Brett Phillips, who...
No, Dodgers should have won that. Wait, there was 2 outs.
2 outs? No, but here's the thing. Randy Arozarena... Okay, let me say something here. You have a runner on first base, 2 outs, and Brett Phillips is on deck, and you have Kenley Jansen on the mound. Randy Arozarena is up to the plate, and Randy Arozarena took Kenley Jansen deep the night before. Why not intentionally walk him? That should have been the plan. If he got up in that bottom of the 9th, you intentionally walk him. It doesn't matter what happened. Even if you were up...
Was for Phillips. No,
even if you were up by 2 and the base is loaded with 2 outs, you intentionally walk Randy Arozarena, the hottest planet on this earth, to get to Brett Phillips, who hit 196, 2 home runs, and 7 RBIs in the regular season. Granted, he was mostly used as a defensive specialist and or pinch runner, but he did get some starts, and he just did not play good at all.
And Brett Phillips, you had 2 strikes. Just throw him a curveball outside and let's see.
Yeah, he's gonna. There was one ball. It was at a 2-2 count. But
2-2,
yeah, it's 2-2.
You still had 2. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and then the next guy was Brandon Austin Meadows, who hasn't been playing great this year.
Margot.
No, Meadows came in to pinch hit.
Oh yeah.
Because it was a righty, and then they went to the lefty matchup. But
that still wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, I mean, with Brett Phillips up, I mean, props to him. He got the pitch he wanted. He laced it into center. Chris Taylor just missed it. So what happened was there was no way he was gonna get Kevin Kiermaier out with his speed. There was just no shot that he was gonna get him out at home. So during the middle of him picking up the ball, he turns his glove so he can pick it up and throw to third. But while he's doing that, the ball came in a lot quicker than he thought, I think, and it just skipped off his glove. So Arozarena, who has good speed, he comes in the home, pulls a Daniel Jones, he slips on nothing, and Will Smith thinks that there's a play at the plate because he's been watching the ball. He hasn't been paying attention to Arozarena. So he gets the ball, he turns around so quick that the ball just flies right out of his glove. Arozarena head first slide onto the plate, bangs on. He was like, "Let's go," win. Brett Phillips running into left field. I think that has to be the greatest. I think that will be and that has been the greatest play of Brett Phillips' life. I would say.
Yeah, but I was kind of hoping that went to Game 7 because that would have been so much.
It would have. It would have been really good. But
if that was Game 7, that would have been insane.
Yeah, imagine if that. Yeah, that would have been crazy, man.
That would have been
But the Rays went with kind of an opener, kind of not. Ron Yarbrough went 3 1/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, a walk, a strikeout. Did give up 2 home runs. Thompson came in, did his job. Then he went to Fairbanks, Castillo, and Loop. They all did their job, and then Nick Anderson came in. He like we said, he has been struggling this postseason. Let's see, what was his postseason stats? Let's see here. 1-2, 10 games, 1-2 record, 5.52 ERA, 14 2/3 innings pitched, and 9 strikeouts with a 1.36 WHIP. That is nothing close to his regular season numbers. Like, he was untouchable in the regular season. Let's see. A sub .6 ERA, a .55 ERA in 19 games. .49 WHIP, just incredible. 26 strikeouts in 16 1/3 innings pitched. But then comes to the postseason, just doesn't have that clutch factor, I guess. But then we head to Game 5. Series was tied 2-2 heading into this game. Dodgers take it 4-2. Kershaw pitched great again. I think this is his first time in his career where he's had 2 good World Series and NLCS outings. 5 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. They were seeing the ball a lot better than they were in Game 2 or 1. But here's something. Manuel Margot, he's pretty fast. You know, he showed some speed out with San Diego the past couple of years. And then, you know, Kershaw has that weird, you know, like he comes set, and then he takes a while to come down his hands. It's just what he does. You know, it's worked for him, always will. And Manuel Margot thinks he can steal his home. I don't think the third base coach wanted him to do that. Like, how much do you think of that was on Manuel Margot? I would say 90% of it.
Yeah.
Because I think the third base coach kind of like was like, all right, pay attention, and if he's taking longer than normal, go for it, but just don't even risk it. This is too monumental of a game, because they would have gone up 3-2. One more win would have done it. And with Blake Snell on the mound the next day, you had to feel confident that he would be able to do it. But instead, he's thrown out on a laser from Kershaw. Wouldn't have mattered as they lost by 2 runs. Maybe would have kept the inning alive. Maybe they would have scored another run. Like I said, baseball is also a game of what ifs, and you know this is a big what if. You know, what if he was safe? What if he just didn't get thrown out? You know, Pete, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, that was Clayton Kershaw's moment. It was his time, his town. Nothing was gonna stop him. And,
No,
Manuel Margot, what were you thinking?
I think.
Dude, and that wasn't. Kershaw.
It was in the bottom of the 5th. It was in the bottom of the 5th. The Dodgers were up 4-2. He had to get that light. He had to get the light sparking because the only ways that the Rays scored in this game was a lucky triple from Yandy Diaz that Mookie Betts like booted or something out and right. And then a single by Randy Arozarena. I mean, you know, that was really it. They could not get anything going in any other inning besides from the 3rd inning. But he had to light that spark, and it just was a failed attempt, I guess. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Is like he went for it and he came up a few feet short. So.
I think Game 5 is always the deciding game.
I think it is too, especially if it's tied 2-2. Because if you go up 3-2, then that's only one more win. And with your ace going out the next day, I think you had to feel confident that they would have been able to win that game.
Yeah, and then let's go over to Game 6.
The deciding Game 6, the Dodgers take it 3-1.
My thing is, why would you take out Blake Snell that early? And my thing is, have you seen what Nick Anderson has been doing?
Exactly. That was the hot topic. Blake Snell dealing. No one could touch him except for that inning. He literally gives up a single. He literally pulled an Aaron Boone. Kevin Cash pulled an Aaron Boone. As my dad and I always say, Aaron Boone has, I think, like an inch-long leash for his starting pitchers. Kevin Cash got to this point in Game 6. Dumbest move of his career. Especially with Charlie Morton's career Game 7s or winner-take-all games. I mean, if you let Blake Snell continue and you get out of that inning, you get pumped up, you go out, you win that game. Charlie Morton pitches a gem tomorrow or the next day, and you have to feel really confident.
Yeah, and my thing was, why did you have Jim Young Choi batting first? I know he can hit bombs, but why weren't you out?
It's all like this dumb analytical. Oh, we do this, we do that. Like Luke Voigt batted leadoff a couple of times for the Yankees. The Cubs tried batting Chris Bryant leadoff. That didn't work. It's a new trend. It just doesn't work. And they had no favorable matchups, so Kevin Cash was like, all right, we'll just go to you. Maybe set the tone, with a home run, maybe. I mean, maybe that's the only thing that was running through his mind when he wrote that lineup card. But, yeah, so back to Blake Snell. So basically, he gives up the single, okay, in the bottom of the fifth or whatever. Let's see, let's go to Game 6, let's go to the Rays. In the bottom of the 6th inning, gives up the single to Austin Barnes, and getting back to Mookie Betts, who just looked uncomfortable against Blake Snell his first two at-bats. Struck out twice, I think, on 6 or 7 pitches. Just could not get a feel for what he was throwing. And Kevin Cash was like, yeah, no, I didn't want him going up the third time through, seeing Mookie and Seager again. But at what point do you draw the line between, alright, analytics and, alright, let's just go with he's untouchable, let's keep going? Because Blake Snell was mad. You could tell he saw Kevin Cash coming out to the mound, and he was like, and
yeah, he was a little hot-headed right there.
Yeah, I mean, as he should be. I totally defend that.
But let's say, even if he did let up, 2 or 3 runs, that still wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, because
we weren't much into the game. You still had some innings left.
Yeah, you still had some innings left. And, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. And then you bring in Nick Anderson. Oh, why Kevin Cash? Why? Nick Anderson, we let off his stats earlier, like the 6 ERA, the 2 WHIP. What? What are you doing, man? It just doesn't make sense. And then he gives up the single to Mookie to tie the game, and then Mookie Betts adds on a solo home run in the bottom of the 8th to make it 3-1. But one thing, I was watching a show on ESPN the following day, I guess it was yesterday, and one of the guys was like, the question was, who has the better shot at repeating, the Lakers or the Dodgers? And the guy was like, I think it's Lakers because, the Dodgers, it was the same group of guys in 17, 18, and 19 besides Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is a top 5 player in the league. He can take a team from, on the verge of barely squeaking past the division series to World Series champions. That's how good Mookie Betts is. And you're just being like, oh, it's the same group of guys beside Mookie Betts. No, you're wrong. But like we said, he's that guy that can carry your team to a victory. And it just didn't make sense. But, yeah, and then Justin Turner, so the Dodgers, one more thing from Game 6, the Dodgers learned that Justin Turner tested positive for COVID-19 in the 2nd inning or something, maybe 3rd inning.
And they let him play.
And they let him play till the 6th or 7th inning. What are you doing? What?
Yeah, but then the thing was, they let him go back out to celebrate. Well, he was asymptomatic, which is like he didn't have like
Any symptoms? But here's the thing. He did some shady business. He went back onto the field after all the MLB officials had already left to not
He went back onto
to
the
be
field
seen.
to celebrate, and and then he took his mask off for the team picture. I'm just like, dude, you have
Yeah.
COVID. No, everyone has to get.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be. Everyone has to.
Like
get
the
COVID.
only thing that could have been running through his mind was like, oh, if I have it, then my entire team has it, I guess.
No.
But that's not how that works, though. Kareem, I know
Yeah.
you wanted to add something here. You're still here.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is giving people a really bad idea of MLB's protocols.
He
today,
violated the
well, I
protocols.
guess it's not
There
really-
will be suspension and fines for him next year. Justin Turner, either maybe the hotel staff brought up his food to his room and then he had it, so then he gave it to them, and then
Maybe. It's still currently being investigated.
Yeah, it's being investigated right now, but it'll be out probably by next show, so we can talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, just Justin Turner, what are you doing? So yeah, that is going to do it for the MLB, and that is going to put a bow on this episode of the New Flame Sports Podcast. If you liked the episode, go ahead and hit the like button. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you here next week for episode number 9.